United.
Hello and welcome back to Usman Talks United. Listen, I'm very happy sat today. Got the Man United shirt on, representing badges on this side. But listen, I'm very happy today as a Manchester United fan. Of course, we will be delving into the Champions League 1-1 draw against Young Boys. We are going to be talking about all the aspects of Manchester United Football Club. And of course, we will be looking ahead to the Norwich game. But listen, first things first, as you can see from the title, Zidane Iqbal, or Zidane Iqbal, as us Pakistanis would say, has made history. He has made history yesterday at Manchester United Stadium, Old Trafford, under the lights. We saw a moment that we will savor for a very long time. Iconic scenes when Zidane Iqbal, the first South Asian British player for Manchester United, was substituted on for Jesse Lingard in the dying embers of the game. And for me, look, of course, we know he's half Iraqi, he's half Pakistani. But look, I just want to say, you know, it's a monumentous occasion for us South Asian individuals, people of that community, to have representation is absolutely massive. And yesterday was the first time in our lifetime that we have seen that at Manchester United, at a club with huge stature, at a club with a lot of, you know, eyes on it, with a microscope on it. And, you know, for me personally, it's an amazing moment. And I just want to start with sharing that. Of course, that is the title of the video. And you're probably wondering, why the hell would that be the title of the video? Main reason is so I can look back at this day in future, in a month's time, a year's time, whenever it may be, and I'll always remember this was the first podcast that I can say this. He has actually started from, or he actually has played for Manchester United Football Club. Of course, he has been in the under-23 setup for a long time, since he was 7 years old, but this is the first time that he's actually played professional minutes. And of course, it was in the Champions League as well, so it was fantastic. So that is the reason for the title, and the only reasons I can look back at it in God knows how months, years, and I'll always remember this iconic moment, something that we'll cherish for a very, very long time as a Pakistani, growing up in the UK, knowing that we don't have fair opportunities when it comes, or I feel that we don't have fair opportunities when it comes to football. You know, we've always been labelled as cricketers, you know, whatever other may be, other sports. Hockey, of course, Pakistan are very good at hockey, but predominantly cricketers in the UK. And this is the first time we can say we got footballers. So for me, you know, you got a celebration to celebrate the W's in life, and this is a very huge W for the South Asian community. So I want to start with that. As always, if you are joining us, please do drop a like on the video and subscribe to thy channel. I'd appreciate any support. We are very close to our target of 1.3k subscribers. If you're watching this live, you haven't subscribed, or if you're watching this on repeat and you haven't subscribed for whatever reason, please do hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1.3k by the end of the year. Oh, cough. I'd appreciate any support, any opportunity for you to share, and any way you can really help us grow. Please do obviously help us out in that sense. So yeah, look, subscribe to the channel if you like Manchester United Football Club and you like uploads daily regarding the team. But anyways, let's get into today's show. I want to first and foremost touch upon yesterday's game. Najee will be joining me very shortly as well. Of course, we'll be getting his thoughts on everything that is Manchester United. As I've already mentioned, we're going to be covering yesterday's game, looking at some players that we feel like have covered themselves in glory, some people that haven't. Mainly the senior players, of course, the academy players. I'm not really going to sit and be too critical. Of course, we may mention some of them and their individual performance as well if they were positive. And then, of course, we will be looking at the Norwich game. I've said, of course, about a billion times, but please ignore that. But yeah, we'll be looking ahead to the Norwich game, the squad itself, picking our team, our thoughts on that game, how we want to approach it, and potentially any expectations. But listen, let's first and foremost start with the Champions League game. Manchester United 1-1 against Young Boys. I didn't actually do a match reaction to that game last night because, to be quite frank, honest with you, not much happened. from a Man United perspective. But what did happen was an absolutely phenomenal finish from that boy Mason Greenwood. Again, showing what he's capable of on the big stage. Yes, against a lesser opposition, but nevertheless, he takes his chance with absolute perfection, put into the bottom corner. So for me, massive positive from yesterday. Seeing Mason Greenwood score a goal is always a positive, and it's just an opportunity for him to build a bit of confidence, get a couple of goals under his belt, potentially start part to an extent, but build a bit of momentum. We know Greenwood, he's got the capability of scoring goals, right foot, left foot, and he's just shown another arsenal to his repertoire yesterday with that overhead kick. That was absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, let's move on to some of the other players, of course. As I've already mentioned, with the young players, I just want to quickly say, I'm not really going to be overly critical of them, but what I will say is that what a breath of fresh air is that Ranić has come in and given so many of the young people an opportunity. I believe we had 6 academy graduates on the pitch, potentially more, 6 academy debuts actually. I don't even know if it was graduates. 6 academy Champions League debuts, probably more graduates if I think about it, because we had Jesse Lingard, obviously Mason Greenwood, who started the game, and Henderson was also a graduate. So them 3 started the game. Then you got the likes of Mengi, Zidane, Heaton, Savage. Look, bro, there was a lot of positives to go into that. But yeah, Jerry's trying shit in the chat as always. Don't worry, we'll be getting onto Scott McTominay video. I've got it. Don't worry, Jerry. I've got it in the background. I'm going to play it a bit later on in the show. Just waiting for Najee to come so I can get his thoughts. But listen, I appreciate all the banter as well, as always, man. It's all loving. It's all loving it. It's all love between the homies. But listen, before I keep going into the players, I want to get Najee on because, of course, we're going to analyze the players in detail. I want to get his thoughts regarding that matter as well. And so without further ado, to introduce our co-host for the show today, we have got Najee in the building. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. How are you, bro?
Yes, not bad, not bad. Is that Jamaican kit?
Say again, brother.
What kit is it? Is that Jamaican kit?
No, it's just a jacket, man. When I got it from JA when I went.
Jeez, it's looking fresh still. I thought it was Brazil for a second.
Love that, bro. Appreciate it. Listen,
yes,
it's quite quiet
on
my end, you know. I'm not too sure if it's me or anything else. Can you hear me quite well?
Yeah, the audio's fine from my perspective. Can you hear me? Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's quite quiet. Bear with me. Let me see if I can change my my volume settings. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
It says my volume's up, to be fair.
Okay, no worries. That's calm.
Hold up. Let me mute my camera so it doesn't look rubbish for your stream. Bear with me, people.
You're right. Right, people, get your questions, and obviously regarding everything football. Some of the academy players, obviously, by Najee. That I'm just going to quickly mute you, Matt Najee, for a second. Yeah, so while you're sorting all that out, obviously we'll get into it a bit detail. But yeah, I just wanted to say massive thank you to Ranić, giving the opportunity to so many academy graduates to get the first minute. This is something that they'll cherish for the rest of their lives through the development, and I think it's really important to try and sort of give them that taste for first team football. United Ways asked me 3 times regarding Donny van de Beek. I will get to that. Don't worry, my guy. We will be discussing, I'm very sure. Like I said, I was just waiting for Najee to come on, and we can go into the Donny thing, because I know he's very opinionated on Donny van de Beek, and he has followed him for a long period. But listen, some of the academy graduates, going to go through them, just give a bit of my thoughts. First and foremost, Henderson in net. For me personally, he did what he had to do in terms of sweeper keeping. He commanded the box on many occasions, came out and caught the ball. It didn't really need to do too much in terms of saves from what I can recall. But overall, fairly steady performance. I don't really expect much from him. I also don't expect him to displace David De Gea at any point in this team. His performance, for me personally, was good, but I just don't see how he gets into this team anytime soon. De Gea has been absolutely phenomenal so far this season. I think De Gea will be keeping his place for the foreseeable future, should we say. Moving on to the other youngsters, so we got Mengi, who came on at left back for Luke Shaw. Listen, for me personally, I thought Mengi had a good game. I was fairly happy with his performance. I thought he came in, he had a couple of shaky moments, but his recovery was absolutely phenomenal. In particular, when he slipped, got back up, showed resilience, showed fight, to get back up and win the ball, firstly, but secondly, just the resilience and the determination to get back up and actually win the challenge was something that he should be really proud of. Moving into the forward lines, of course, Zidane and Savage coming on as well. I've already mentioned Zidane, so I'm not going to dwell on him too much. Savage was also Charlie Savage was also a fantastic subplot. Of course, his dad doing the commentary for the night. That was a great moment, and he looked like a bit of a tidy player as well when he came on. So fair play to him. And the other two would be Shortier, if that's how you pronounce the name, and Elanga. For me, Elanga didn't have his greatest of games, I'm not going to lie, but like I said at the start, I'm not going to be overly critical. And Shortier, he barely touched the ball, to be fair to him. So listen, all in all, great day for the youngsters, the Carrington graduates. But it was not a good day for some of the Carrington graduates. Listen, Najee, let's get into it. Just want to quickly touch upon the Champions League game. Obviously, get our general thoughts on some of the things that are going on at Manchester United, and then obviously we'll give our thoughts on the Norwich game as well. What did you make of yesterday's performance? Like, maybe not so much the performance, but I suppose the better question is, what did you make of the players, the fringe players that came into the team, the likes of Lingard, Matters, Donny, Matic, or whoever else you want to touch upon?
I think you can look at it in two ways. You can either be disappointed because of the result, or you can look at the actual performance and go, you know what? Based on the factors of the players that were out there, have a lack of game time. Some are playing new positions. Some are just seen the first, ultimately, 60, 70 minutes of consistent football that they've played. I think when you take all that into consideration, you can look at it and go, you know what? Decent performance, and it was a decent result based on the personnel on the pitch and the lack of match fitness that was out there. Ralph's also got to do a job to try and scope out players that he may want to use for his first 11. Remember, he doesn't have his first 11 yet. So it's a perfect game to do that. And unfortunately, he hasn't had a preseason. So we're going to have to see games like this where they're not really must-win games. As much as we hope to win them, they're not really must-win games. He's going to have to use those type of games to find out the players that he thinks he can use moving forward. And hopefully, at the same time, see what's there for the young people that we've got coming through. You know, you saw the debuts, the string of debuts that we laid out last night. It was a really proud moment for me to see that. And I never thought I'd see that, especially under Ollie. So overall, I think a great performance from some individuals. Greenwood, impeccable. What can we say about this guy, man? Like, he's just literally taken it to like a duck on water, man. He's working hard. He's clearly had the right instructions and just nailed the game plan. And the finish was just sublime, man. To check back like that, because he's been tightly marked at one point, and then to check back and just be able to create that little half a yard to get that shot off and caress it in the bottom corner. For me, that was special, man. And it's not only that, but if you look at his work rate off the ball, winning the ball back, of course, he should have had an assist when he set up Juan Mata. I think when you look at that game back, if we'd have taken the chances, maybe 3 to 4 goals in half time, you're thinking, yeah, 3-1 half time, maybe 4-1 half time. This is perfect, man. You can kind of settle and relax. But I think we missed clear-cut chances, and I think that added pressure to the team, added a little bit more pressure to the players, and obviously with their lack of match fitness and the young players that were actually coming through as a collective, they did start to struggle, and they were holding on towards the end. But overall, as I said, I'll always finish with the fact that I think it was a good performance, a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah, no, I think you've hit the nail on the head in terms of the many different facets in terms of what was wrong with the performance. Like you said, match fitness was an issue. A lot of the players haven't played with each other. That was the first time a lot of them have played. I remember the first time in particular, the ball was getting played behind each other on many occasions because they weren't on the same wavelength. The players, be it Mata and Donny or some of the other players, which we'll touch on very shortly. But in terms of Greenwood, right, what a finish. Absolutely phenomenal. I touched on it very shortly prior to your arrival. Greenwood, for me, he's one of the players that really stepped up on a night where it's a bit of a dead rubber game. He basically stated a claim to the first team spot. Rashford at the moment is not really setting the world alight. We know Martial's not fully fit. Cavani's not fully fit. Do you think Greenwood potentially has given Rangnick a bit of a selection headache for that Norwich game?
If anything, for me, I think he starts. I think he starts definitely ahead over Rashford. I mean, it would be a headache if it was a case of we have strikers who are in form. already. Martial isn't 100% fit. Rashford needs benching. It's a straight in and out. And I think Rangnick may reward Greenwood depending on his fitness levels. And obviously, it was a home game in the Champions League. So I feel like he may reward Greenwood with a start against Norwich. And we may see Ronaldo and Greenwood up front. I mean, overall for Rangnick, it's a headache when all strikers or all forwards are going to be on form. But I think this decision will be no one would say this is a hard decision. You've got to start the lad. He definitely deserves to start for the next game, and it'll be nice to see if a manager actually going to reward merit performances on merit. Again, assuming he's fit and good to go. The only thing stopping him from being in that team is him not being picked based on merit. If he gets picked on merit, he has to start with Ronaldo.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of whether players should be picked on merit, of course, we've seen under Oli that quite evidently was not the case. One thing I do want to say is, which I didn't mention in the other podcast, was that the one thing I loved about Rangnick against Palace was the fact that he substituted Rashford off for Elanga when it was 0-0 at the time. Of course, everything was still to play for at that moment. And I think that really sent a message to the dressing room that no one's place is safe. Under the previous regime, Rashford would have played the 90 minutes. I'm sure most of us would probably agree with that. There's no way God's given us Rashford gets substitute, especially for the likes of Elanga. But Rangnick was more than happy to do that. So, but I think that sends a real positive message to the likes of the Greenwood and the likes of other people who may feel like they're a bit lower down in the pecking order, that you have got a chance as long as your performances are there and you apply yourself correctly. And I think that is what the football club should be about. As you've said, Rashford isn't covering himself. Oh, the lighting signal. Rashford isn't covering himself in any way. At the moment, he's not really set the word alight. And Greenwood, off the back of a fairly good performance by his standards, he should be in the team really on merit, as you said. But I don't know if you saw what Rangnick said about Greenwood in the post-match. I don't know if you've seen the comments. But he basically was speaking very glowing of Greenwood. And then listed like 3, 4, 5 things that he needs to improve on in terms of his development. What did you make of those? I don't know if you've heard him or not.
Yeah, I heard, definitely heard him. I mean, with respect to him as well, one thing I do want to touch on before we go on to Greenwood is that as Greenwood was asked that question, there was a lot of stick in the media, not stick, but kind of old quotes that were made up about Luke Shaw. One thing he did do, even though Greenwood was the main target for the conversation, the main topic, shall we say, he actually did mention Luke Shaw in terms of the cross and his ability. So first and foremost, like Luke Shaw's cross is really good. And I think that was just set the precedence for the media to say, listen, regardless of what you've said about me regarding the quotes and what you've used, you're trying to basically talk up shit already. And I'm just here to say, look, I'm happy with Luke Shaw. He did really well. Whether he meant it or not, I think he's an honest man. I think he may not appreciate Luke Shaw's entirety, but to appreciate a moment of the game where Luke Shaw had a good moment before Greenwood scored that goal with the cross. I think that shows a real level of class and intelligence in the media. But moving on to the main man, Greenwood. Again, we're talking about is I believe it was his physicality, and he's got a lot of growing to do. And I think he's bang on the money. I mean, if you look at all the comments that were made as an entirety, this is what we've been waiting to hear. Young players being under a coach who's literally ready to be coached and how can I put it? I don't use the word upgraded to where they are at the moment. They're looking for that upgrade in their career, that next step, that next level, and clearly Rangnick is ready to go for this guy. And the same with Elanga. I think him and Elanga, if he likes someone, he's going to put 150% into them. And it's nice to see that he's letting people know that Greenwood isn't 100% the player he needs to be. And I think that sends a message out to all those United fans that, every fan base has them, but we all get overhyped or overgassed. And it just sets that tone and brings the balance to say, listen, great goal, but there's so much he's got to work on. And to be quite detailed and specific about that says that, he ain't playing around, man. You got to take him seriously. Like, he's not as gassed as you. He's appreciative, but he's not as gassed. And that to me shows a level-headedness that we need to bring the standards back to United, man. And yeah, I think overall, for me, him and Greenwood are going to have a blessed partnership. But will it last, Usman, after 6 months? Because if he's going to be working with him up until that period, and then he's going to end up finding a new manager, how is his role going to change? Because he won't be on the football pitch.
Yeah, I mean that is something that is a concern for me, to be quite frankly honest with you, because having listened to him speak, as you just alluded to, the way he talks about the development of the youth, the fact that he was critical of Greenwood, even though as he was praising him, I thought was an absolute masterstroke in man management and coaching. Because at the end of the day, you need to, of course, give him positive reinforcement, but at the same time, ensure them that there's still levels that they can go to, because you can see that untapped potential in Greenwood. And I think it's very apparent that anyone who understands football knows Greenwood's got the world at his feet if he applies himself. And it's about keeping him
Yeah.
level-headed and focused. And I think that's what his comments were about, keeping him focused on the prize. Okay, fair play, you've done fantastic, you're young lads, but you can definitely go many more levels. And I think he's definitely going to improve him in that sense. But to come back to your sort of qualm or query, so to speak, that is a concern for me. But it all does depend on who that new manager is. Me and you both want Ten Hag in it. Let's be real, and we know that
100%.
spoken about many times. I think the next appointment is going to be very crucial, because if we get the appointment right and Ranier gets a say in that, I believe he will appoint someone who's close enough. I know Ranier and Ten Hag aren't that similar if you actually go into nitty gritty of style of play. They're similar to an extent, but obviously that
and that formation as well,
different paces, that kind of thing. But the general consensus is the same in terms of proactive rather than reactive style of football, and not pragmatic. So if you bring someone like a Ten Hag in, I do feel Ranier will still have the capability to potentially give him that bit of advice in terms of development, etc., how we can develop the players. But for me personally, regarding the Mason Greenwoods of the world and the other players you mentioned, Ranga and Rashford as well, that we mentioned earlier, they need to be sponges. In this 6 months, whatever happens to Ranier after this moment, they need to understand this guy is a football genius. We know he's not been at a big club, but he's developed players time and time again. It's hard to find people with a proven track record. You can maybe get 1, 2, 3 gems out of a certain individual, but to have this many people under his sort of pedigree, or his belt, in terms of the names that he's brought through consistently, and all of them have had a lasting career, speaks volumes of his method. So those players, Rashford in particular for me, and I believe Greenwood will always become something special, because he just needs to apply himself correctly. But Rashford for me is teaching in the danger zone, because I'm a massive fan of his, but he does frustrate me a lot, because he doesn't seem like, he just has a lot of bad habits, and I don't know if he's willing to change them bad habits. I don't know what your thoughts.
I feel like
what are your thoughts on Rashford?
I do feel like and I agree with you, by the way, on the sense of it's squeaky bum time for Rashford. Like, there's an incredible player in there, as we know, on talent alone. And on talent, he's one of the most raved about players in the English game. Even globally as well, depending on how far you want to take it. But he's really got to find the extra gear now and knuckle down to learn the fundamentals of the team game. And I think maybe at his age, I feel like Rashford applies himself. He's a hard worker. He's a grafter. He puts his heart into absolutely everything that he does. For me, I feel like he's got the ability to learn. My question is, will he learn? And will he do it in a shorter period of time? Because he won't be given, by the fans that this is as well, he won't be given the same amount of leeway as a Greenwood and a Sancho because of his age, for one. Yeah. He's like touching it just almost his prime years. And with the injury list that he's had, his lack of game time, his lack of confidence, he is way off the park of where he could be. I personally, if I was Rangnick, maybe it's a bit too blunt, but if I was him, I'd be using Rashford as a fringe player. I'd be using his 4 to 5 months to get him back to full fitness, to retrain his body, regrow his body, make sure he's healthy and fit to go. And whilst he's doing that, I would literally, pretty much like what you have to do for your theory test in driving. This is how we play. This is what you need to know. This is what you need to do. And just drill it down until he's ready and 100% fit. Because I think it's much better to prevent future issues with Rashford in his 4 to 5, 6 months that he's got with Rangnick than to play him through it. And then come the next year, he's probably going to start with another injury. I think that's genuinely where he's at now. He's got to kind of take a couple of steps back, and I think that would be best for his development, just to learn the game differently and watch with his own eyes, and also at the same time play the odd games when he can. Maybe goes into under 23s every now and then. Probably won't happen, but just thinking logically, he needs that kind of input into his career now so he can have the development, because he hasn't had the development that Van Gaal was giving him. Again, Jose came in, started to switch up the complete way he played, benched him too many times, and these are prime years. We have no structure, so the next manager you bring in is Ollie. All of a sudden, you play completely different. He just tells you to go and enjoy yourself, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But he's just relied on talent alone, and that talent alone isn't going to make the difference. Isn't going to make the difference in the big games. So, listen, I think based on what I said, Rashford to be a fringe player, and hopefully by the end of the season, he can come good for us. Maybe make a few cameos off the bench. Nothing to do with his ability, but just for his own career's sake. We can get the best out of Rashford if we give him this opportunity to heal and learn.
Yeah, and look, I hear what you're saying in terms of the healing aspect. I definitely do think there's an element of that. I do feel like he's been rushed back so many times. I almost feel like he was rushed back under Ollie as well to an extent. Look, I was happy to see him back, but I felt like he came back earlier. I mean, the reports were kind of suggesting that he's ahead of sort of his return date, the return date, and that does worry me whether he is still carrying some form of an injury or he's not fully fit. So I do understand that, because he's got a long career ahead of himself, Rashford has, and he needs to look after himself. That's one of my biggest criticism of the way he's been dealt with in the last year and a half. Of course, some of that's on him, but more importantly, the people around him, i.e. the coaches, the medical staff, they've basically done him wrong, in my best opinion. They've let him down massively. And you've seen with Wayne Rooney, I mean, his career ended abruptly because he was overplayed. He didn't look after his body, not in terms of like a physical thing, but in terms of a recovery. There was no, I mean, of course, we don't know in detail, but you can just tell with players like that, it caught up to him. So, and Sanchez, probably another one as well, who was absolutely unbelievable at Arsenal in his heyday. But then again, it caught up to him. Overplaying, it just gets the best out of you, regardless of your talent.
I agree.
You've got to have it up here as well. So you got to look after yourself. But in terms of the fringe player thing, for me personally, Ryan, I think Rashford has the capabilities of being an absolute world beater. I know a lot of people don't agree with that statement. I just think for me, this is an opportunity for him to really elevate his game. And I've said it already on a previous show. It's his lack of development, which is the biggest problem for me. The age, as you mentioned earlier, he's 24 now, if I'm not mistaken. He's starting to come into the years where people start to, hold his name in regard and start to hold him accountable for his consistency and whatnot. Because before, you have that blanket of age over you and you get away with not being consistent week in, week out. And I'm not talking about numbers. Me and you don't care about numbers. We care about performances. We're talking about consistent performances. I know his stats are absolutely phenomenal. For anyone who watches this back, we know that. But I'm talking about impacting the game, demanding the ball, taking your man on, committing a man. I haven't seen him do that in a long, long time, regardless of what is, irrespective of his stats, I've said. So for me, he needs to maybe not be a fringe player, but I think in the next couple of weeks, while Greenwood, for me, should start on Norwich, like you mentioned, I think he needs to have a bit of self-reflecting time. But obviously, with Randy potentially on a one-to-one, say, look, I know you've watched me play. Obviously, everyone knows what Rashford is. Give me your honest feedback and let me reflect on it and let me develop and actually take on what you're saying. What are the things I'm doing wrong? What do I need to improve? I mean, the games that he's under Carrick, again, Rashford running in a dark alley, he's still making the same mistakes. Again, it's just stupid. There was an occasion, I don't know if it was in Palace or against Arsenal, but the guy just
overlap.
I can't remember what game it was, but he was on the left wing, obviously, and we were on the counter attack, and he's just running in a straight line, and he's got three players on him, and he's never going to get past any of them. But he still proceeds to try and take all three on. It's just, just bring the ball back and recycle it, keep it. Just make it's just a common sense thing to do, and for whatever
he slows the game down as well. Like
Absolutely.
He likes the ball at his feet. He stands there and he'll do a little Neymar or Dali, and everyone's moving around him, and he's still like, make your decision. And it's by then the game's already gone. Like they're already back in position, ready to defend. And when your team's low on confidence, you can't really break a team down. That's not the mindset you need. That's got nothing to do with ability or or talent. That's literally everything to do with the mindset and making quick decisions. You know, there's so much to his game. But you know what? I think the positive side is that if you look at Rangnick's comments regarding Varane and Cavani, yes, we saw them in training, but I guarantee you, if we saw those pictures of those two in training, Ollie would be having him probably on the bench ready to go, or even maybe starting straight away. Rangnick's come out and said they're not even ready. It's Varane's first training, Cavani's second, I believe, and they won't be ready for Norwich. That is a positive sign, and I think if Rashford's seeing that on the pitch, knowing that Varane's in training, but they're still not getting back Cavani, I think he can trust that the manager's there to look out for them and get the best out of them. And I just hope it's a blessing in disguise, but it's almost like I know you've seen the end game in Avengers. I know you have. It's facts. And you know, Iron Man has that one chance, and Doctor Strange is like, there's still one chance. I feel like this is Rashford's one chance to make or break his career. And I think he could. If I'm honest, I think he's going to take it. I genuinely think he's going to take it, depending on Rangnick's stance and how he deals with him. There's no doubt a fit Rashford. He's got to start. He has to start as one of those striker options. His finishing is poor, as opposed to other forwards. But I think just getting a job and giving him more opportunities to score, I think that'll build his confidence massively. But he's got to get back fit before we can start to judge him on that.
Yeah, no, I think you made a fair point, man, in terms of, you know, his fitness levels, and of course comparing it to the way Rangnick has dealt with Varane and Cavani, for me, is so pivotal. Of course, Ali was trying to save his job, hence why he was throwing these people into scenarios where they don't really need to be. There's a full list: McTominay, Maguire, Rashford, just to name a couple of players that have been rushed back for whatever reason. And it's important that Rashford does look at other people, especially the likes of people like Varane in particular. I know Cavani's a bit older, but Varane, he's been there, done there, got to teach him, and the guy's won pretty much everything you'd wanted within the game.
Yeah.
And this guy's looking after himself still at an optimum level. Even like Cristiano Ronaldo running off at Crystal Palace to get into an ice bath 5 minutes early. These are the things Rashford needs to pick up, these good habits from Ronaldo, from Varane, from Cavani, and obviously Rangnick. So be it on the pitch, increase the good habits off the pitch as well. It's a combination of the two. But I just want to get your thoughts regarding attacking fullbacks, because basically myself, Kojo, we did a show and spoke in a lot of detail on Tuesday regarding attacking fullbacks. Well, yesterday gave us the opportunity to look at two other fullbacks. To be fair, one Wan-Bissaka firstly, you know, hopefully speedy recovery. He did go off on the stretcher off the back of that fall, which obviously is never pleasant to see. But Luke Shaw coming off of 60 minutes because of the concussion rule. What did you make of them fullbacks? Have either of them stated a claim to their respective positions?
With respect, the gap between Bissaka being a competent fullback for this day and age for how Rangnick plays the game, he's too far away. However, do I doubt his intentions and his efforts in that game against Young Boys? Not one bit. I feel he genuinely tried his absolute best to do everything he could. I think he's obviously he's stuck in his way in terms of how he plays, and he's kind of learning on the job. Definitely not making a claim for this team, but I'm not going to join in on the hate and banter. I feel like he's good enough for United in terms of coming off the bench and securing a 2-1 lead against, I don't know, a Bayern Munich away or something. You know, if Rangnick does go to 3 at the back, I feel he could be coached to be a right-sided centre-back in the formation if he's given the right guidance, because he is young enough. If anything, I do, not to start, but to come on off the bench to, again, be solid and create that colossal defence at the back again. If you want to hold on to a lead, he will win you the ball back, no problem. I feel like he's coachable, but I don't think his ability is coachable to a level that will improve his ability. I think what you see is what you get. You can either use it or not. And if not, I feel like if he went to somewhere like West Ham where they just counter and they sit back and they kick the counter, I think that would be perfect for Bissaka, because that was exactly what he did in his first season under Ollie, where we sat back. He won so many tackles to the stage where people were going, raw, this guy is serious. And then when it was about trying to go forward and attack and we asked for a little bit more out of his game, he didn't have it. So I think he's got his place in Rangnick's team to a certain degree, and definitely not as a starter. Definitely as a tactic ultimately. You know, when like Park Ji-sung would man mark flipping Messi, or Herrera would mark Hazard. They had a job. Yeah, they would have their duty. And if he's a squad role player, 100% you keep him. Again, I know he's unorthodox, but he has the ability to make decent passes. I've seen him switch the ball quite a few times. He's got it in him. Maybe it's confidence, I'm unsure. But again, that's going to be down to the psychologist. That's going to be down to Bissaka. And again, if Ralph thinks he's fit enough to use him, because let's be honest, we've only got Dalot. And if Dalot gets injured, you're going to have Bissaka. And I'd rather have a confident Bissaka with a role to play, knowing what he's doing, than a Bissaka who's just going to be there, who's just going to listen to all the stick off the fans, all the discredit from the media, and then have to go and perform for Man United. So I've really got to support him. I don't believe he will be that guy, but I will definitely support his progress if he gets it. So yeah, definitely hasn't taken the claim. But as for Luke Shaw, we know what Luke Shaw's like under pressure. He brought Tellers in. Yeah, he ended up being called Shawberto Carlos at the end of the season, and carrying on. I mean, one thing I do appreciate about Luke Shaw is his mindset. He's been through so much emotionally, physically, and especially off the back of the injury that he had. In my opinion, I think he's got the mentality to cope, but I feel like he's got tendencies that when he's down and he's down and out, he seems to lose his fitness really quick, and he doesn't look as sharp.
Can I just ask you?
Yes, sir.
Regarding Luke Shaw, you kind of touched upon it very briefly, the psychologist. How important do you think that is for some players like Luke Shaw? Because we're kind of alluding to the fact that his mental state isn't. I mean, we don't know it, of course, but
yeah,
we get the vibe from Luke Shaw, like you said, when he's off form, the guy is very difficult for him to dig himself. Do you think that's a mental thing, or what would you put that down to?
I genuinely think it is. I think as a human being, when you've been through so much, and again, it comes down to personalities as well. Some players just have the innate ability. Some people in general, just people in general, and we'll call them players, but they're humans. Some humans in general, they either fight or flight, and sometimes they have to fly and go hiding, and then they have to scope around the area to see where they can start fighting, and then they pick their battles and they work their way up, and then they become unstoppable. Some people can just go head first. Okay, let's get it done right now. You look at your Ronaldos, you look at your Brunos, Pogba's. They just go in there and then, and that's more favorable to the eye for most fans. I get that, but not everyone's got the same personality trait. And for me, Luke Shaw has had a career-ending injury, still staying at Man United 7 years on. Again, going through in my opinion, Man United is probably one of Man United's worst downfalls in the club's history regarding the rebuild and the lack of structure and the up and down. He has managed to come through that and be a performer. Now, do I believe with the right mental coach and the right trust from the right manager, do I believe he could bring it round? I've got no doubt, because if you go off Luke Shaw from last season, and again, he carried that form into the Euros. You bring that Luke Shaw to this Manchester United, no one's going to be saying nothing. You're going to look at Tellers and Shaw and go, flipping hell. Like, who do you play? And then you can go into a Champions League game and then a Premier League game in the weekend against Man City, and you play one or the other, and it won't matter. And that's pretty much what Cancelo and Kyle Walker can do at Man City. And that's the depth you need. So I'm rooting for Luke Shaw, but I do think he's got a long way to go, and I don't think it's a quick fix for Luke Shaw, but I think it'll be quicker if he's dealt with in the right way that suits his personality trait.
I completely agree. I completely agree with the mental side of the game. Obviously, you mentioned, his obstacles that he's had to overcome. He's come through that period when everyone pretty much wrote him off for large parts of his career, and some would say rightfully so. He wasn't really covering himself in much glory. Me, I've been someone who's consistently stuck by Luke Shaw, and I was happy to see him that 18-month period where he became Showbetter Carlos, and he was absolutely phenomenal. And this is the thing, what I'm saying to people at the moment is that, granted, I completely agree Tellez deserves his run of games as it currently stands, without a doubt. I'm not saying Shaw has any God-given right to be in that team, especially with the form he's putting, and I do not want to ever bring that mentality to Man United. If you're not playing well, you've got other options, bring them in, as simple as that. No one, as we say consistently, play on merit, and Tellez deserves it on merit as it stands. But I don't like the way our fan base just give up on people so quickly. I understand Shaw's doing really poorly. He's not covering himself in any glory, but class is permanent, and he's shown for a sustained period of time okay, 18 months isn't 3, 4, 5 years credit in the bank, but 18 months is a long time for him to consistently put in 7 and above out of tens. And as
Yeah,
you mentioned, in the Euros, he was absolutely phenomenal. Let's call it real. For Man United, leading up to the Euros, he was absolutely brilliant. And the way Ranieri's system suits the fullback to an absolute T. The driving force. They provide the width. They provide the control. They
yeah,
provide us with the overloads in the final third. They are so pivotal for us to be successful under Ranieri. Luke Shaw on form is one of the best left backs in the league without a shadow of a doubt. And as you mentioned, look at City. They have a lot of competition. We don't want players that Tellers and Delo to be too heavily reliant on if they do get injured. We're back to square one in terms. So it's
yeah,
important that Luke Shaw is definitely someone that picks up his game, but also I think that psychologist is going to be massive for a lot of players. Probably some players, you know how it is, man. We don't know what's going on in people's head. We don't know. Like for, obviously, I don't want to mention any names, but there might be one player from the outside in looks like the happiest player on the planet, and but we don't know what he's going through behind closed doors. Psychology is going to come in and impact so many players and
yeah.
Manchester United in a positive way. I think we're going to see a real change in some of the performances. I mean, Martial for me, I haven't mentioned him at all, is someone that I think mentally struggles a lot. He's similar to Shaw for me from what I've seen from the outside. You know,
Yeah.
when they're down and out, I get the vibe that they beat themselves up about things. They don't seem as confident. Like, do you think it's an opportunity for players on the fringe to really, obviously under the new management now, to really come back in the forefront and actually fight for a first team spot?
There's no question about it. And again, a lot has to come down to the manager. Now, the way you treat your players, it's not just about what you tell them, it's about what you show them and the examples that you set using other players, i.e., playing players that are in form. That gives them something to aspire to. If you see a player that's in form, whether he's younger or older, it's a case of raw. No matter what age he is, no matter his talent, if he's in form and he's earning the right, you can physically see that that player deserves to play. That sends a message that those are the standards that you bring into the team. And then, if Martial does find a little bit of form, like again, he scored that goal for before Zidane dropped him. He scored that beautiful finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. That could have been the start of a confidence booster for him. Just that finish. The link up play was perfect there. The build up. If he did that for Ragnick, I'm pretty sure he's getting the right feedback and going, yeah, man, you're in contention. Keep going. That again is self assurance for that player. That person thinking, no, I'm good enough. Like he rates what I've just done. And again, as I said, a lot is going to start with the manager, how he treats these players and the examples that he sets. Dropping Ronaldo, dropping big name, big star, dropping Bruno, maybe in major games and stuff, shows everyone that you are not bigger than the club. The manager's in control. He is taking the lead on this and he knows what he's doing. And the only way they'll trust that he knows what he's doing is if, yes, he brings the right feel good factors in terms of, I see what you're trying to do here. I see it working. I see your plan. You've been honest and you're sticking to what you know. But at the same time, if he gets results by doing it, and that's what will build the trust. So it was like Aussie man. Like Fergie will put out 8 defenders against Arsenal, and you're thinking, what the hell? This is sick. You didn't go, oh shit, like what's going on? You're like, this is sick. 8 defenders, and we're still gonna bust them. That's how we felt because we didn't care who was on the pitch. We knew we'll get a performance out of them. And that's the level that I'd hope either Rangnick or the next manager can get to, where every player trusts what the manager is doing and knows he can get results doing what he's doing. And so, yeah, to finish up to answer your question more directly, sorry, I genuinely believe that Martial, if he's given the chance and he performs, he'll stake a claim within this team, no problem.
I actually think Martial's our best option with Ronaldo. I'm not going to lie. And I know Cavani's definitely got the capabilities of being very good in this system. We know his work rate off the ball, his movement, his IQ, but we know Cavani cannot play week in, week out. Potentially Ronaldo can't either as well. But the reason I feel with the psychologist coming in, I genuinely think Martial lacks in self-belief at the moment. His confidence has got to be on, rock bottom. He's had a very poor season last season. This season, he's been plagued with injuries, as you alluded to. He scored that goal against Everton. Apparently, he was injured. His missus comes out and quite clearly says he's not injured. He's just been through a very difficult time on a personal level. He's got a lot of
Yeah,
things going on. And you know, a lot of the times we do understate the bearing and the effects it has on the mind. You know, a lot of people say, you know, mental health matters, but what a man is when it accounts to a footballer just because they got money. Money does not
Correct.
your doubts on mental health. It's just
Correct.
regardless of how much money you got. But with Martial, I think with a bit of running games, you know, arm over the shoulder and the psychologist as well as a combination of the three, he's going to be absolutely flying. I honestly do believe it in the system up front. His capabilities to bring people into the game, hold the ball is going to be beautiful. Honestly, I'm excited to see Martial. I'm excited to see a lot of the players, but I think out of all the players that we mentioned in this podcast, I think Martial is going to really benefit the most from Ranieri because he's finally going to have someone who's going to give him a genuine opportunity. Because if you're playing two man up top, these guys are all going to get minutes, and that's what it's about, giving them a fair chance. And as we've said, playing them on merit. So I'm excited to see Martial. I'm excited to see him fly. Hopefully prove people wrong. Hopefully even prove me wrong to an extent. Because even now I've started to. I mean, I've always been Martial FC, but even me of late, I've been like, has he got it in him basically? And as we said with Rashford, it's the same for Martial. That at that age now, they have to deliver on a consistent level. Otherwise, it's goodbye Vienna. But listen, or good night Vienna, should I say? But listen, let's move on to the Norwich game. I have got a clip from McTominay's interview. I don't know if I should play it or not. I did say I was going to. I don't know if you've seen it at all.
I did see it, but yeah, I'll have my thoughts on it 100%. I did put it earlier on Twitter if you saw. I did put a few.
Well? I like the first tweet that I saw with the clip. I mean, I'm gonna just play it quickly just for people that
Go for it, bro.
haven't seen it. So in case you haven't seen it, I'll just play the clip of Scott McTominay. So this, I believe, was after yesterday's game. It might not have been after yesterday's game, but it was after one of the games. Anyways, he's getting questioned regarding his individual performance, and basically this was his response. So apparently, reporters asking him about some things that have been brought up from Ranieri. Hopefully it loads. Just get this up. Okay, it's just loading more. Whilst you're here, you may as well follow me on Twitter as well. And follow Najee as well. So make sure you follow us both. But anyways, right, so I'm going to play this now. Let's just get the audio up. Okay, it's fine. Hopefully the audio is working. Should be.
Fred, is that there were too many square passes. I don't know if he said that to you in private.
He said one.
Yeah, he said one.
Not too many.
Well, one from him, one from you. Too many as a team. But on that, does he just want you to be? Is he asking you to just be a bit more brave with the ball? Is that kind of the message he's trying to get out of you two as a pair?
Well, pretty much every team in the Premier League presses the middle of the pitch with the biggest intensity. So you look at Liverpool, they close the middle of the pitch. They don't want you to play through the middle. Pretty much every team. So yeah, he's obviously his ideas in that respect is that the most regains leading to goals will probably be from other teams, not just us. Will be through the middle of the pitch, maybe little passes that get intercepted or something like that, and getting it nicked off you. So yeah, it's been streetwise, it's been smart, it's playing forward and looking behind and stuff like that. It's not just a strict way of you need to do this, this, and this, and stuff like that. So no, pretty flexible and pretty easy to.
With you and Fred,
I hopefully that wasn't lagging too much because it wasn't on my screen. But I don't know if it was lagging. But anyways, Najee, I've just stopped sharing it there. Man pulled the popcorn out of that, listen, hopefully it wasn't lagging too much. It was fine on my screen, but we never know.
It was lagging, but the sound was perfect, so people could follow on my nice and easy. It was good.
Facial expression. But yeah, Najee, Ali's comment. He doesn't like McTominay. What a timing. Right, okay, Najee, over to you, my guy. Obviously, we've listened to the clip. What's your initial reaction to hearing that, basically?
I'll be honest. Normally, I come with as much logic as I can and respect. Yeah. Listen, McToilet was waffling then. He didn't even answer the question direct, bro. Like, my man was asked specifically about making too many sideways and backwards passing. Ultimately, that's what he was alluding to. The fact that McTominay interrupted him slightly to go, yeah, it was one, says already. He said already by replying in that way that he was pissed off. He was fuming that he's been asking this question. His face is screwing, and then he starts talking about other teams playing down, locking off the middle of the park. I'm thinking, bro, you're not even answering the question. You are waffling. And then right at the end, he was basically trying to summarize it to say, yeah, it's easy to adapt and we do all these things. I'm sorry, but that looked like a man under pressure. That looked like a man under pressure
He looked
and
stressed.
also not knowing. Yeah, and again, it's disappointing because he looked like he was offended for asking that question when really, if you were to ask maybe Ronaldo or Bruno that or something, I'm pretty sure they'll go, you know what? It's right. It's a part of my game that I've been struggling with and I'm working hard every day to make the gap on the pitch. That to me seems something more mature, something more honest. He looked like he had his back up against the wall the moment the question was asked. As I said, he came out saying it was one pass, as if like he needed to correct the reporter before laying into the main question, and then just answered it with a total load of waffle and syrup, man. Like it was embarrassing to me. That was embarrassing on my first thoughts. Having listened to it a few times, I feel like he twisted the question to try and answer it politically, but it just wasn't a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say what I said off air, basically. In my response to the video, I thought it was absolutely pathetic to answer something like that. I think the way you summed it up in terms of his back was up against the wall, I think that's the best way to describe it, because I don't understand why he was so triggered by that comment. It's quite evident, as a football player, you know what you're doing well, you know what you're not doing well. You read social media, whether they want to admit it or not. You know, people say you pass it backwards, and I felt like it was almost like a combination of him being triggered by people's tweets and comments about him saying he's negative passes. That's what I got from it. I felt like he's read this online so many times and he's fed up of it, basically, of people saying that about him, because in his head, he obviously doesn't feel like he plays in a manner which isn't sort of progressive, should we say. Look, first things first, right? The way I would have personally answered it, if I had confidence in my own ability, would be, of course, the manager spoken to me about certain things. He wants us to play a more progressive game. And as Manchester United footballers, we always need to be in the front four, and we need to be imposing ourselves on the opposition. Of course, there are a few occasions where he's not happy with me to play in safe paths. And as the guy said as well, do we need to be more braver? That was a perfect opportunity for him. Yeah, I think there's occasions that we do play too safe and own it, because we have been playing too safe. So,
sorry, Osman, like, when did you sign for United, bro? Because you answered that like a proper baller, bro. Like that was on point. That was on point.
Listen, I appreciate, man. I can sign tomorrow. I'll play DM. But
I can play DM.
You love to see it. But look,
sorry, go on.
It seemed like he was deflecting, which it was a bit embarrassing. Like you said, Ronaldo would never do that, man. Like Ronaldo would just own it, because in Ronaldo's head, his mentality is like, you can't touch me, bro. Like basically,
yeah, it's true.
People say it's arrogance, it is what it is. But
people have people who are.
He knows
people
what
are
he does
critical.
on the pitch, bro. So
that's it.
Yeah,
it
didn't sit right with me personally. I'm not, and this isn't a dig at McTominay, because I'm not his biggest fan at the moment. It's just in general. I don't like this loser mentality that's been breeding at Man United Football Club. Let me just put it there, because
weak.
I'm sick and tired of it. I don't care if it's my favorite player. I don't care who it is. This needs to go. We need to get rid of that loser mentality, and we need to start owning the mistakes, man, because we have not been good enough. It's as simple as that. It's when Maguire came out and said, "Oh well, I didn't actually aim that celebration at no one." Bro, shut up, man.
Yeah, of course.
Delivery did like we said on the
You know what's mad, yeah? You know what's mad? People talk about Ronaldo, Pogba, Bruno having egos, yeah. But I always said egotistical people genuinely they don't self-critique, they deflect. I've only ever seen Maguire deflect the negative attention away onto something else. And seeing this interview here, McTominay is doing the same thing. And isn't it funny that those are the two most played players who obviously have been led to believe that they are better than what they are. Otherwise, that's why they haven't been dropped ultimately. And ultimately, yeah, this is why when you look at these two players, they're even more frustrating, because they've now developed this mindset where they think they are better than what they are. They believe genuinely that there's nothing wrong with their game, otherwise they would be dropped. And it's just that we have in our fan base is still saying the same thing. Well, if he was shit, or if he was this, he wouldn't be starting. He wouldn't be this. And I'm thinking, yes, he would, because you don't really understand how football works. There's no way that you can look at those two players and go, they are Manchester United quality. They're just not. They are not. They could have a role to play, and it would not be in the first 11. And one would definitely not be a captain. And this, you're perfect. You bang on the money when you talk about the standards. We need the standards back, man. We need the stand. We need the self-respect. We need the self-critique. We need the high level of morals, the decorum, the self-respect as well, man. To not put yourself first, but understand you're playing for United and you can always do better. Like that was disappointing to see from Scott, and that kind of confirmed everything that I already felt about the man. So I'm disappointed in him, but we move, and hopefully Rangnick doesn't stick him around for too long.
Yeah, no, I think you've completely nailed it, to be honest with you. Like, I'm sure everyone in the chat is going to agree, because people who watch my channel are not a massive fan of Scott McTominay, as I'm reminded every show. Just want to quickly get a couple of comments in, because I've somewhat neglected you guys. I do apologize. Let's just quickly.
Sorry, people.
First shout out Pyramid Skiing, big up gents. Late to the stream, don't worry, my guy. Obviously, you can watch it back. It's been a class show as always. United was saying we're currently on 11 likes. Let's get up to 15. If you haven't already, please do slap a like
man,
on
get him
the
up.
video. Eddie says he's dropping a like, and obviously showing love to the United Raiders on the artwork. If you do want to check that out as well, I will put his socials in the description as well. So if you do want any artwork done, I'm sure he'll be able to help you out regarding that matter. So obviously check him out as well. Follow him on Twitter, all that good stuff.
Is he on Twitter? Yeah.
Was it? Sorry.
Is he on Twitter?
Yeah. I'll put it in the.
Yeah, I'll hit him up, man. I'll hit him up.
Love that. Listen, anyone else as well, please do hit him up. Obviously, he supported me through everything on his channel, so he's absolutely legend. So, listen, let's get into the last segment of the show, which of course is looking ahead to Norwich's game. You kind of alluded to it indirectly as well. Basically, hopefully he doesn't play on the weekend. I want to get both of our thoughts regarding the game itself, and then we'll do the lineup, which I've got set up here. Together, obviously, what you want to do, etc., and then we'll get a score prediction. But Najee, you'll start with you first, because you have got the Norwich colours on, so not sure if that was pre-planned or not.
JA colours. Norwich stole them.
Yes, listen, no disrespect to Jamaica, 100%, man.
That's it, boy.
I got too many homies from Jamaica, all love and that. But listen, regarding the game itself, it has to be 5-0 for me personally, but I want to get your thoughts. How do you think this game against Norwich, man? What you feeling? What are your thoughts?
Listen, we go there, we take the win first half, and we go 3-0 up, and then you sit back up until 70 minutes. After 70 minutes, you go and get another 3 goals, and that's the game done. That's what we do, lads. No, we go. Listen, I'm 100% saying 5-0, man. Like, it's going to be a clean sheet. I think Ralph's seen 2 games now where he's not been fully happy. Again, if you alluded to the young boys, he didn't give a blight to the fact that he played a so-called weekend team and an inexperienced team and a team lack of minutes. Like, he said it was okay, but he wasn't still not happy with how they played. So I think they've got drilled now. That's a whole bunch of players that have played a lot of football under him, a good 90 minutes tops, and it's like they now know the levels. So the next game they have to go all out. And I think Norwich is a perfect game to play. They're low on confidence, low on form. They've got one player that ultimately could damage us with maybe one cross. That is about it. We should go there and we should thump them 5-0, reclaim at least some form of dominance over little Norwich. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's got to be, man. And then it's a case of coming back to the drawing board and going, did you still play good enough? Because if we win 5-0 and Rangnick's still going, you know what, better performance, but I still need more because this, I wasn't happy with this, then them man are going to be like, raw, my man is not messing around, It gives them something to work on and look forward to in training, go, raw, we've got a job to do, that wasn't good enough, regardless of the scoreline. So, so for the players that would get flattered by that result of a 5-0, that they won't have room for that, man. So, yeah, I'm with you, bro. I'm going 5-0, 100%. Like, that's how it's going to be, man. I think Greenwood's got to start as well. I don't know if you're doing lineups, but Greenwood's going to be one of my first names on there. That's
fine. I will chuck Greenwood's name in there. But I think that obviously you kind of mentioned there in terms of how his response was to yesterday's game. I mean, a game, breath of fresh air, man. Like, we drew 1-1. It was a dead rubber game. But these guys coming out, he was fuming, and I love that. I love that he was on the players' back. Of course, not the young players. I don't want to criticize any of them, but the senior players, the likes of the Lingards. Well, we haven't even mentioned Donny at all. I've just remembered. I will ask you after this. So Lingard, Donny, Mata, Luke Shaw, Saka, Bailly, who was absolutely phenomenal as well, actually. But yeah, so those kind of players are the ones that are up for criticism. Yes, Wakanda forever, you know, G doing his
Come
best
on.
Booker T impression on the pitch as well. But yeah, he always
It was
does.
mad.
I love the guy so much, man. But actually, let's just mention it in terms of Donny. But what are you? I'm just trying to get the topic because I was going to go on somewhere else, but I could just remember.
So
I
sorry.
had to ask you about Donny, so let me just get that before I forget again. What did you make of Donny's performance? Because I'm going to forget otherwise. What did you make of Donny's performance? I know you're a huge fan. You followed him since day dot. Because a lot of people criticize him, and I put a tweet out earlier. I don't know if the stats are right or not, but basically put the stats down for the game. And I personally think people have been ridiculously harsh on him. But the floor of those, what did
100.
you make of him?
Listen, you can criticize the past. There's nothing wrong with that. But that pass does not equate to his whole game. You should be intelligent and smart enough to understand that concept. Minimal. So when you look at his whole entire game, incredible performance for me. It was a 7 to 8 out of 10 performance in terms of what I believe he should do in a team. The right passes in terms of breaking the lines, looking for the right options. Were they always on? No. Did he make the effort to get it? Yes. And did they find their man? Yes. Now look at that goal, because I think that's the sticking point for most people. Let's just get past this. The pass, I looked at the game, looking slow motion. There was a pass that he could have gone to left centre back, skipping one player, going over to the left centre back. But he chose to go with the closest ball. And I believe, knowing how Donny plays, he would have expected a 1-2 from Bissaka with that movement. He passed the ball. Bissaka was on his heels. He didn't look to receive it. Now, that to me is an awful pass. On the eye, it's an awful pass because he's not on the same wavelength with that player. So that was the wrong option. Passing to a player who's not ready to receive. You just don't do that. But it was an instinctive pass. And if memory serves me correct, if you are around intelligent players, they would expect that pass. Regardless, they know the danger is. They know that I'm ready to take it. Bissaka was not on his A game in that build up to that pass. So the ball was given away. Still, it wasn't like it was an easy goal. That was an absolutely beautiful goal. Brilliantly taken. You can't, if Mason Greenwood scored that goal, you'd be going, oh my God, this kid is amazing. The width, the bend, the power, it was perfect. 9 times out of 10, most average players, especially young boys, with greatest respect to them, they aren't bagging that goal in anyway. So in my opinion, I think he's been very unlucky that he's getting scrutinised for that one pass. Because to me, that was the right option in any football game. If that was me, I know I'm ready to receive that pass. Because we're in danger area, tight little spaces, 1-2, I knock it, you pass it, you give it out. Because it was on. But again, it just didn't work out that way, and he's taken the heat for it. However, I would criticize the pass, and I'll repeat that. I will criticize the pass because it wasn't on the same wavelength. And if 2 players aren't on the same wavelength, you both have to share accountability for the issue. Now, moving on, his whole game, his tackling. And for me, again, there's this funny notion that apparently he can't defend. Show me where he can't defend. Just show me where he cannot defend. Six times out of 8, he's making a tackle. He's winning the ball. And if not, he's going in with the right intentions to win that ball. And when he does win it, even when he does lose it, second ball winnings, if you check him for winning second balls and third balls after the initial tackle, is very, very high. Very, very high, because he does not stop. People spoke about his work rate. Well, that just alludes to his work rate. What I've just spoken about, he does not stop. He works tirelessly. And with the last thing I'll talk about Donny, is I'll tell you this. Juan Mata has never played in his pivot in his life.
I know.
He is lack on game time. He's lack on fitness. He hasn't even got the legs. And even in his prime, he probably had about a 78 pace on FIFA anyway, with a hunter's card on him. Right? So I'm telling you now, for Donny to play alongside Mata, although they've got the IQ and the intelligence, he was ultimately playing as a lone 6. You will never, ever get McTominay playing a lone 6. You imagine McTominay next to Mata, it would not work. Donny was doing most of the work in the area. And for me, that's why I say, based on the team that he was in, the players he was with, the lack of minutes in the whole teams, the lack of legs within the whole team, the lack of experience, even with that dodgy pass, I would still give him a 7.5 out of 10. As I said, 7 to 8 out of 10. So a great performance for me.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to come back to, the main criticism from people online, where you kind of alluded to in the sense that everyone was judging his performance off that one mistake. And again, it is a mistake. For me, I would say it's Van der Beek's mistake. The way you explained it, a lot of people won't understand that context, but I completely know what you're saying. It was a breakdown of miscommunication. Of course, Wan-Bissaka is somewhat culpable to an extent, but again, Donny has to hold the brunt of that criticism.
100%.
But to add to that, his tackling was absolutely brilliant. I was actually pleasantly surprised at the amount of time he was getting stuck in, winning the ball back in the final third, deep in our own half as well. And he was trying to make a progressive pass, man. This is the thing. Okay, granted, there was a lot of space. It was very easy for him to make progressive pass against that young team because we had a lot of space and time. Let's not lie about that. But he was still making the right decisions more times than not. People are acting like he's being compared to Pirlo. His replacement is not Pirlo. He's not fighting for Pirlo or Seedorf in that position. He's fighting for Scott. He's fighting with Scott McTominay. People are acting like Scott McTominay's got 100% pass completion. He never makes a mistake. He never puts a foot wrong. Do me a favor. Honest to God, do me a favor. He's made one mistake. Okay, granted, his own day, he is or it is. But the rest of the performance was pretty good for me. Like, there was a couple of sloppy passes here and there, but again, a lot of that was down to the fact that there was a lack of chemistry on the pitch. Like I said, right at the start of the show, a couple of passes behind Mata because Mata's not expecting it. And little things like that, little details. And as
just to back you as well, bro.
What was it?
Sorry, I was just going to say, just to back you, when you were saying the lack of chemistry, there was a moment in the second half, I think it's maybe like 85th minute, maybe a little bit earlier than that, where Van der Beek had the ball. He literally had the ball and he was doing this with his hands like, I need an option. He had to go backwards once and they started to go, where are you? Move. So he's always on it. Like, he's literally always on it, man. So, yeah, man, for real, honestly, like, my man will come good. And, you know, people who appreciate good football and have a high level of intelligence regarding football, people who are football nerds, i.e. Rangnick is one, I'll be very surprised not to see Donny more in the first 11 with the better players and the better caliber players. Give Donny a run of 10 games, I guarantee you most people go quiet.
Completely agree. I mean, the same people saying the same thing about Delo, and everyone's saying, oh, Delo's the best right back since sliced bread. Do you know what I mean? Just football fans are just so fickle, man. It's easy to criticize someone when they make a mistake and stuff. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve criticism for that mistake. But what I'm saying is, let's not brush his entire performance over one error, man, because that happens in football. And also the point that you made, bro, he was playing with Mata, man. Like, as soon as I saw that lineup and Mata was playing next to him, I thought, this is suicide.
Imagine it, because I always look at the spine of a team. That's always been like your strongest, like your backbone. Your centre backs, you've got one of them called Matic, and then in front of him is Mata in the DM position, ultimately in a 6. So one of your centre backs is Matic, one is Mata. You're telling me you're gonna have to defensively cover for them as well, and their lack of understanding in that hole and pivot. I'm sorry, but I think for those factors there, this is why I say he had a great game. If you understand football to the depth of that level, you'd understand the difficulty of his job in that team. Like, he genuinely did very well for me. So again, the mistake, criticize him. I 100%. I'm never going to say he doesn't deserve criticism for that. But one mistake does not sum up the whole 94 minutes that he played. It makes no sense for you to do that.
Bro, like, who was going to play with Matt in DM, man? Honest to God, I can't believe. I just sometimes just don't understand people's, with all due respect, but people's lack of knowledge on basic. Matt has he's never been able to do that in his heyday. As you said, even in his heyday, the guy had like 78 plays, let alone at this stage where he's finished practically at this level. But listen, just want to shout out everyone in the comment section, keep slapping the like. Very close to 15, I appreciate it. Sean's in the building. Sean did tweet me earlier saying, Osman, you better mention the fact they play with Mata. And we have, Sean, you've come at the perfect time. Also, shout out to James is in the chat as well. Thank you for coming through. And the United way saying, brilliant analysis as always. Najee doesn't miss. That's just how it is. We call him Steph Curry. He's shooting those threes. But listen, Najee, let's get into the lineup. We both already given our prediction, so you can do that if you want to. We both kind of said 5-0 because why not? I have got David De Gea on the pitch. If you want me to change that, obviously let me know. But I'm just going to let you pick the team. Obviously, we'll discuss it in general. But this is the lineup that you would go for if you're in charge. So as you can see, got 4-2-2. Get your comments down in the comment section. Who would you want to play? Who do you want to see replayed off the back of the performances? But Najee, over to you. We'll start with the right back. I feel like that was obvious. I think Wan-Bissaka is injured.
Yeah, I mean, even if he was injured, as we alluded to earlier in the show, he's got a lot of ground to make up. And even if the fact that he was trying his best still won't make up the difference. Dallo will start there without a doubt. He's so perfect for Ralph's first right back to work on there. And I believe Dallo's like 21 years old as well. So something of that nature. He's like ridiculous. Maybe 22 tops. Someone can go fact check it, but he is ridiculously young. People sleeping on that, man. People sleeping on that.
Very young, very young. Okay, so he's got hopefully a bright future. I have bought him in fantasy football as well. If you do play fantasy football, 4.4 million is absolute bargain for a attacking right back at Manchester United, especially with the fixtures we got. So you're welcome. But anyways, let's come on to the centre backs. Obviously, if I disagree with one of his players, then I will give my thoughts. But obviously, I agree with everything you just said there. So who are your centre backs if you're in charge? Not who the manager is going to pick. Who are you picking?
Well, unfortunately, as much as it is, I've always said, and I've said this from day, yeah. So it's always been Twanzebe Mengi for the future. Realistically, obviously, Varane is injured. So based on this being on this for the Norwich game, for me, it would be Bailly and it would be Mengi or Lindelof. I'll let you choose. There you go, Dallo 22. For me, yeah. I mean, I watch you football. And
he was really good, Mengi, by the way, when he came. I did say it earlier.
Incredible player, absolute. He's a tank. Not only is a tank, he can move so quick. I did tweet out that he's an absolute power athlete. But again, Eric Bailly has to play. I've got no doubt about that at all. Eric Bailly has to start. I believe he will play Lindelof, so I'm going to put Lindelof in there. But for me personally, bro, I would generally play Mengi there. I mean, Mengi came on and played left back for crying out loud and absolutely smashed it. That says a lot about the brother. That says a lot about his intelligence. Very good in the air as well.
Honest to God, I said it right at the start of the show before he came on, that I was really impressed with Mengi. Like, for someone, especially that, I'm sure you'll know as well, when he slipped and got back up and showed that fight, determination, and resilience, bro, people would have given up on that. But man got back up and made the challenge to absolute perfection. Hopefully, a bright future ahead of him. Listen, I love nothing more when the academy players come through and perform, man. It fills me with so much happiness. I was really happy for him. On a personal level, I have gone for buying Lindelof only because I just don't see Bengi being a viable option at the moment. I don't think Bailly's going to get any. I do think it'll be Maguire and Lindelof, but I completely, wholeheartedly agree with you. I don't understand what Bailly has to do to get into this team because he literally drops 7 to 8 out of 10s every game he plays, bar that own goal against Man City. But anyways, moving on to left back, keep getting your comments in. Let us know if you agree or disagree. Obviously, let us know who would you put in, etc. But yeah, go on. Who are you going left back?
I feel like it's self-explanatory, man. You probably need to spend 5 seconds on it and move on. Tell us for every reason everybody knows.
Before you said it.
There you go. It's self-explanatory. You don't need to say much about him, but again, just looking for him to continue the performances he's been putting in. So yeah, I'm more than happy with that. Yeah, big up United way, man.
Yes. We've got pyramid scheme saying Dallo is 22, by the way. Like, he's very young. That is getting massively overlooked, isn't it? So he's huge. Same age as Wan-Bissaka. So let's move on to the 2 DM roles. Of course, McFred are the 2 constants, should we say, in this position. I mean, I'm going to put Fred in Najee, but whether you want him in or not, because I think he deserves it. And obviously going to pick the other one anyways. I know
Donny's going to have to be my player in there. However, that if you're doing it based on what I think he will pick or based on what I want, would be different. Obviously, I think Ralph will go McTominay for one more time, but I think if he has a stinker, he's getting substituted a lot earlier than we think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we all know it's going to be McFred for whatever reason. But I personally think this is our best midfield 2 with the people that are currently fit. Of course, I want Pogba back in the team as well. Where Pogba goes into the team, we'll discuss that when he's fit. But for me, I just want Donny to get a chance. We've got favoured fixtures. We've got games that we're potentially going to control the ball for large parts. And Donny is just pivotal for that for me.
And he can come up with goals as well. People don't realise that. But I know Scott McTominay was spoken about getting goals, this and this. Trust me, Donny will find himself in positions where he can pick up goals. Very good finisher as well. So he may need to get a couple of goals to show that he can do that for some of the fans who don't really believe he's good enough. But he does that on top of having a great performance. Don will start making a name for himself in the teams, no problem.
Yeah, no, he does need to score. That's the only way people rate people in this day and age, sadly. If you don't score or get an assist, you basically shit. That's just how it is. But yeah, let's move on to the two cams. Otherwise, the inverted forwards, whatever you want to call it, really. Who are you going for these positions? I don't really know who's fit, to be fair. I don't know if Marcel's in contention for this game at all.
He's not fit.
Yeah, he's not. Okay, who are you going for in these two positions?
It is going to be Sancho, of course, on the right. Feel like he's played himself into the team now. He's more confident with the players, let alone the system just for now. But the players in general, he's understanding the players, and I think they're understanding him as well. And with Dalot overlapping in the link-up plays there, I think that'll be absolutely perfect for him. So I'm hoping he gets to play. Pogba obviously would be my other cam, which you did mention earlier, but he's not going to be there because he's not fit, so can't really put him in. I do want to drop Bruno in that hole. But because I don't have anyone else to play there, I'm going to have to put Bruno there. But what I would have done is I would have put Bruno and Ronaldo up front and tried him as a false nine. Yeah, so you can press on the front. As you know, he's key to bringing players and he'll have more time when he wins the ball to make the right decision and more options. But yeah, I think it's going to be Bruno in that 10. And then up front, Greenwood and Ronaldo for me.
Yeah, so sorry. So, whoa, oh my God, they put the legendary one there. That's
lovely.
What a goal. So that means obviously Rashford's on the bench. Hopefully alongside Cavani, potentially you can get maybe 10 to 15 minutes. For me personally, looking at this team right now, there's nothing I would change realistically speaking. I can't think of anything. Of course, we've got into a lot of detail on why these players should be starting in the previous part of the video. So if you are just joining us, feel free to go back and obviously watch all that. The Dalot and Sancho thing for me, right, is a breath of fresh air. I just want to put that out there because we have not had a right side of the pitch for a very long time now. It's been starving basically. You know, we've had the likes of Greenwood playing there, Dan James playing there with Wan-Bissaka. I mean, that was dark times to say the least. But it's just good to have two players potentially build a partnership. We know with Jadon Sancho at Dortmund in particular, he played with the Hakimi and Guerrero, were both phenomenal right backs, getting for, or even right wing backs to an extent, getting forward, giving him an overload, but also an option which also created space for him, which in tandem basically allowed him to flourish, more space for Sancho as he's going to cause damage. So I think Dalot is massively key with that overlap, continue to get forward. And listen, for me, I'm happy with this team. It seems like everyone in the chat is very much happy with this team. There's nothing I would change really. We do think, just for you guys, we do think Donny is not going to play. It's going to be McTominay and Maguire is going to come in for Bailly most likely. But that is our team. Get your score prediction. Obviously, if you disagree with anything that we said, please let us know. And AJ was just going to say our score predictions again just for the sake of it. I'm going to start 5-0 Manchester United. If there's anything less, I'm not going to be happy. Listen, we need to get the goal difference up. I think it's a perfect opportunity to absolutely batter a team. Maybe not have too much expectation in the sense of, like, let's say if we go 4-0 or whatever, but the performance has to be good as well. I think it's key that the performance is good. We start building a bit of momentum. Since Ollie's gone, I think we're undefeated in like 4 or 5 games. So it's integral. We get the W, and it's a good performance. But what do you reckon? Because so you stick in the final, or you're going for something else?
I'll stick with 6-0. Now that you've said that, you've given me an extra boost for getting another goal. I just remembered that we've got Ronaldo, and he's definitely getting a hat trick. First hat trick for United in ever. It's going to be against Norwich. It's pretty much like Ronaldo playing Andorra. Wicked. 6-0.
Yes, love that. Listen, United said 7-0. Hopefully he's right. I mean, I don't know if Ronaldo gets a hat trick, I'll be buzzing. Nabil saying, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Maguire out because of the knock he got in your selection. I don't think Maguire's injured. We've not selected because we think Bailly's a better option. That's why we personally selected him. To be fair to Maguire, he did actually play very good against Crystal Palace. I mean, he did really well. Hopefully, it's a sign of things to come. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. But listen, that does conclude the end of the video. Nabil saying 5-0. United saying 7-0. Obviously, Najee said 6. I said 5. James has said 3. So everyone's saying a clean sheet, which is obviously a positive. Hopefully, a game we can build on that. Listen, so you guys are moving like reckless, like KJ. With the score predictions. It's not even reckless. It's only Norwich. We're at home. 5-0's a bare minimum, man. Honest to God, 5-0's a bare minimum. If it's 3, I'm not going to be happy. Put it that way. We need the goal difference. But listen, it's been a quality show. As always, please do drop a like, subscribe to the channel, follow everyone's socials down below. Before we go, Najee, as always, my guy, let the people know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, man, appreciate that. Osman, first and foremost, thanks for having me, man. And before I give you my socials, make sure if you haven't, go subscribe right now. Click subscribe and go follow and go like this guy's Breaders page, man. Come on. This guy puts work in, you know. He puts work in. Absolute work. And he's such a top man as well. You know that as well, because that's why you come back, because you get good vibes from him. So make sure you go and do that. And if you have done that before, I'm not going to chat about me. Forget me. Listen, if you're going to go and do that, yeah, at least retweet it. If you are a subscriber already and a follower and a liker, yeah, go and get the quadruple and go share it on Twitter, man. Go get this guy the followers he deserves, yeah? First and foremost. And if you want my big mouth running around on Twitter, then it's Sunshine47, as it says, SONSHINE 47. YouTube, again, I've got new content coming in January, something that's going to absolutely flip the script. But I've got a few secret conversations I need to have first before that's all finalized. However, if you still want to see my channel on there, is Sunshine 47, but just a space between Sunshine and 47. Hopefully I get to see you guys on Twitter, man, and welcome in my spaces anytime. Always running in spaces. Yes. Osman's there, so yeah, come through whenever needs me, man.
100%, man. Thank you, Najee, for the kind words. I appreciate it. Listen to the man, slap a like, subscribe to the channel, follow us both on socials. Obviously, Sunshine 47 is his Twitter handle, aka Najee. Does a lot of spaces, fantastic work on Twitter as well, so make sure you check it out. Listen, he welcomes everyone with open arms, and that's what it's about. It's a community. All men
every time.
I'm sure most of you are. If you're not, you're also welcome as well, especially if you don't like Arsenal, because I banter them weekly pretty much. So feel free to check out the Monday shows. But listen, a massive thank you to everyone in the chat. If you haven't watched it back, please watch it back, and obviously let us know. But apart from that, it's been your boy, man.